Salvaging run mission protocols reviewed. Preparing Quinjet drop into wasteland ruins. Mr. Stark, your communications are online. I'll help with the suit as you broadcast.
Landfall achieved, ready to start our salvaging run. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as me and a few other Avengers handle some of the outcroppings of mechanical enemies that have decided to move into our otherwise irradiated and vacant abode. To really get it started, let's just go ahead and cover some of the potatoes before we get into the meat in this gravy. This movie is a mixed bag, and it is very, as the kids would say, triggering over subject matter that I'd rather not discuss too much, but let's just say that I've had to watch this film twice to get all of my details right, and to be frank, I was not a fan at all of certain scenes. I thought they were in poor taste. I get the intent behind the scenes, but just to see it and to hear it and in such visceral detail, it was not a good experience for me, and it definitely set the overall mood of the film to be more morose than most other Marvel films, not much less a Guardians movie, but most other films in the MCU are usually dark, brooding, preachy, woke, etc., etc. Not Guardians, especially after a follow-up from, like, the holiday special. I mean, come on. Let's be honest here. You go from that joyride to this. Yeah, that. And you ask me, well, Tony, Peter Quill's lost everybody. Well, Tony, this is Rocket's origin story. Well, Tony, Drax is finally going to get his catharsis in the end. Yes, yes, yes. But do we really need to see creatures that have been mutilated and edited and cybernetically augmented? Do we really need to see that? Do we really need to see that in such detail where they're frolicking and playing in a bed of their own feces? Do we really need that? I honestly don't think we do. And the problem that I see with that is it's going to turn people off just by presentation alone. It turned off some people in the prominent areas of our community because their hearts weren't in it whenever they saw it immediately. And so it's like I had to stomach through it. And now we're going to get into the meat of the gravy. So it starts with Peter Quill being a drunk. He's lost everything. And Rocket is listening to the Zune. And we see that there is a sense of desperation in Peter. Peter is a lot angrier in this film because he's lost everyone. But then they turn him into somebody that just wants to talk to the alternate universe Gamora. And I mean, by talk, I mean simp for. Like, to be quite frank, he's simping for her. And it's unfortunate because he does get a hurrah later on in the film about being a hero, about saving the day. But what we have here in the beginning and through the first and second acts is literally a guy telling somebody who's not her everything that a version of her and him did in an enfeebled and emasculating attempt to try to bring back what was. And I didn't like that about Pete. Other than that, he was a lot more serious, take no shit. But because he had such a take no shit attitude, that was bonus points whenever, he convinces a manager at this corporation space station to activate a line in to all of the armed guard suits, and which look like skin tags, by the way. That whole set piece. We'll get to set pieces in a minute. And we see him going, oh, he's going to kill these guys or he's going to talk to these guys. No, he did something that Rocket did. He just hacked the suits to make them no longer be controlled by their pilots in a way that Rocket did at the kiln in the first film, and reversed the artificial gravity generators to zero besides their particular segment of the prison. Don't ask me how that works, but space tech, space magic. And, and so we don't see Quill killing people unnecessarily. He does kill people later on, but only because he's pushed to the brink of, you're going to give me back my friend, or you're going to help my friend, or I'm going to kill you kind of scenario. Which is a good segue into the purple nurple RoboCop Skeletor facelift-looking motherfucker known as the Great Evolutionary. The Great Evolutionary is a villain that is, as far as MCU villains are concerned, a step in the right direction. He wasn't as mopey-dopey as Kang was, and he wasn't irredeemable in the sense that, oh, well, he died before we could really redeem him kind of scenario, like with Loki, or even though Loki did have his catharsis and his character growth. But, most of the MCU villains up to this point have either been knockoff one-shots that are comedic facsimiles of each other, or characters that are just teasing the next big bad and then not delivering, Jonathan Majors, the kind of intensity that the High Evolutionary did bring to the table. As far as villains are concerned, you really hate this guy. And again, it's because of the presentation that you see with his test subjects that you want to hate him. And, after you swallow that bitter little pill, is a jagged little pill, like Alanis Morissette would say, you really want this guy to suffer. And Rocket, for the first two acts of the film, doesn't get airtime because the general mission of the Guardians is to, hey, we got to save him. And then it leads to a set piece by set piece romp. And this is a hot take that I'm going to share with you all. I feel that James Gunn was sitting here when he was writing this movie, which was a total rewrite, by the way. We were teased the MCU Celestial verse. We were teased so much better things. We were going to see Nova, a couple of years ago. Remember that? You want to talk about member berries? Remember that? And what we got was a re-scripted, rewrote, last minute kind of project. And he wanted just to throw in wild set piece after wild set piece. He wanted to make the mood as dark as possible, but then provide a Guardians level bit of slapstick humor or joke. He wanted to throw in every chance he could get a meme. I mean, we see Among Us spacesuits outside the living space station thingamajigger, okay? And it's like, we don't need this. We do not need any of this. What we should have got at the end of the day was what we were promised, what we were asked for. And instead, they literally strap engines on the ass end of nowhere to fly into another ship bigger than it for the spectacle that every Marvel movie has to have with, every Michael Bay level explosion, every Roland Emmerich level catastrophic event. This dude pops a civilization full of 80s furries because of an idle comment that Quill said. Oh, you're selling meth. You have octopus monsters selling meth to kids with cockroach heads. Yeah, some society. And, his response was, okay, then I guess I'll just delete the planet. Raise it all. Start over. So this guy is very comfortable with creating artificial life and then deleting it. And this is unfortunate. It's unfortunate we had to have this kind of level of villain in a movie that didn't need this kind of level of villain. Yeah, Ego wanted to expand his consciousness and assimilate civilized worlds. but it wasn't done in such a dark and gritty, body horror laced kind of way. It was done in a very comic book, right at the cusp of the Bronze Age kind of way, with big swelling energy mounds of unknown alien origin. You know, like, that's acceptable. That's acceptable levels for a movie like Guardians, which is less serious and supposed to be more, not just more kid friendly, but just more friendly in general, from the general direction that the MCU is going in. And instead, we get this mishmash of random things. Now, does everybody get catharsis in the end? Does everybody get a send-off in the end? Yes. And for the most part, everybody in the send-off, it's very good. It's really good. How everybody gets their final piece, their final farewells. Wait a minute, I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, right, this guy. Adam Warlock. How could I just... Oh, right, I know why I almost forgot him, because he provided nothing until the end of the film. Besides, I need to be here to be an overpowered enemy for people to fight for no reason, because I have the mind of a child, even though I'm supposed to be Adam Warlock. Okay, sure. So Adam Warlock finally has a redeeming moment, which is, of course, as shallow as his character to begin with, you know? And it's like, it's just not okay, man. It's not okay what they did to Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is supposed to be the guardian of the Soul Stone, a wise entity, a godlike being who can move worlds with a thought. And we get this crap. We get this guy who's literally going, I want to hold the CGI Fizzgig-looking thing. It looks like Fizzgig. This thing looks like Fizzgig. It's just another Disney ploy to sell a plush. And it's a plush I'm probably going to get for my cats to tear up. Anyway, yeah, so Adam Warlock was skipped over by the film, so I almost skipped him over in this review. This rant / review, salvaging run. As I'm, getting my butt handed to me by multiple machines and looking for salvage to make sure that the tower doesn't stay radiated. Man, the MCU is a lot like the wasteland out here. It really is. Only instead of, being laden with old Kree sentinels and deactivated Cybertronians and these robots from AIM that are now following a new and mysterious master, I feel like I'm writing better storylines for my channel than the MCU is. But then again, this is a test. This salvaging run is mostly a test to see if there is still some interest, at least in hindsight, that there is the potential there for things to go back to being right. And at the end of the day, I feel like we can push it to a better direction. We always have the Infinity Saga to go back to, even though its latter third had its issues, and a few films in the second had issues. As an overall overarching story, you can go back and watch the Infinity Saga and be mostly fine. You can go back and watch the earlier seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and be mostly fine. You could watch Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and be mostly fine. But then you look at what they're doing now, and you look at movies that are supposed to be the tip of the spear by default because that's what they are. And you shoot for the moon, and you hope to hit Mars. I'm not going to sit too much on here, much longer on this. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is what we've been reduced to, this film, and it's unfortunate. It really is. But I hope that if you have points, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. I will answer every comment that I get. I just don't know when it will. But I will answer every comment that I can. And we can continue the discussion in the threads below the video. If you like this content, please leave a thumbs up. Go get you some Taco Bell by ringing it. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. We do a lot of live shows, and I have a lot more projects coming down the pipeline. This has been Mr. Stark. My friends call me Tony. And, yeah, I'm covered in strontium-90. It's time to go take a shower. This has been the first salvaging run, one of many. You all have a great night. God bless.